Colchester was the first Roman-founded city in Britain and is Britain's oldest recorded town. And it was for a time the capital of Roman Britain, and it's also a member of the most ancient network of European towns. Situated in the county of Essex, it sits between Chelmsford and Ipswich on the River Colne, which was the site of the Roman invasion in 43 AD. East Street lies at the bottom of East Hill at the junction with Ipswich Road, which today is mostly turned over to modern high-rise private dwellings, plus a restaurant, the Siege House, the whole area looking cared for and enterprising. But in the late 1960s, it was a very different place. At this time, the stylish multi-storied apartments were still the commercial premises of Marriage's Mill, and although the Siege House was still a restaurant, next door was a hardware merchant, which most residents of Colchester being familiar with the long gabled frontage known locally as Charlie Brown's, although its full title was Charles Brown and Son. Charlie Brown's was still trading, but it was already showing the signs of its decline. The buildings are an assemblage of traditional timber frames dating from between the 14th to the 17th century. Numbers 60 to 65 are listed buildings under timber frame construction. The condition of these buildings had been of concern for many years, and they were now in a considerable state of dilapidation. However, in 2001 it was felt that the site was of such significant architectural and archaeological importance that the council sought a compulsory purchase order. The order would allow the county council to buy the buildings in order to protect them from further disrepair. But ultimately this proved not to be necessary, for the site was bought by Harding's Homes East Anglia Limited, along with the nearby former mill. Planning permission was given for the refurbishment of the property fronting East Street and the erection of 13 new properties to the rear. And so in 2004, work started. But first the Charlie Brown site needed clearing, both inside the premises and out. Before the developers came in to clear the site, permission was given to record something that was about to disappear forever. It was quite clear that the buildings had not been kept in a safe condition, but it was the stock that littered the floors that was the most impressive. Items from the 1950s and 60s, now never to be sold, simply the remains of the former business. The work was being financially supported by the Heritage Lottery Fund, English Heritage and Colchester Borough Council. When we'd finished filming the interior of the building, it was time to turn our attention to what lay outside. We weren't disappointed. The whole area looked like one massive junkyard, in stark contrast to how it must have started out, as premises to sell goods to the public. It was just the lack of interest and care that caused the business to fail and the buildings to fall into disrepair. It remained a frozen image of 1960s Britain, which very shortly the developers would bulldoze away forever. So, a few years later, the site is now a modern, spacious domestic area that has improved this corner of Colchester in a way that the commercial trappings of Charles Brown and Son could never have done. Tastefully renovated properties bordering East Street still keep the style of the original buildings that they've replaced, giving the east of Colchester a modern outlook whilst keeping a foot firmly in the 17th century. In this instance, the council planners have done a splendid job in ensuring that Colchester's past remains for people to enjoy in the future, with just a hint of Charlie Brown remaining.